have to find a seat.
Mm,
Once you have a seat because you are a really talent as a
mm,
driver, you have to be able to reach this amount.
mm,
Once you have this amount, this is not the amount of the seat. Also, you need the amount to provide your testing.
mm.
Then you have to take care about the timing, the momentum, because the seat will not be there always waiting for you.
Mm. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sports Law podcast. My name is Tushar Katheria, and I'll be the host for today's episode. In this episode, we have our special guest, who is a motorsports lawyer working at a very niche area of practice. Please welcome Magdalena Ferrer, who is someone really great, a woman sports lawyer working into the motorsports industry, which is very interesting. So, first of all, welcome, Magdalena. And thank you for being our guest for this special episode. It's an honor for us to have you on board.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Yeah. So let's start our podcast session. So how is your journey started into the sports legal industry?
Well, in fact, my expertise was as a lawyer, it was international affairs. However, after working for different consulates and embassies, I am starting to provide passport athletes and emergency visa for athletes who has a tournament, such as tennis players or football players that they need to be transferred to another club. So the club has the right player. However, they cannot transfer this position because they don't have yet this emergency visa because, as you know, according the transfer window,
Right.
so sometimes you cannot manage with enough time. So I consider that it was really interesting, these meets between international affairs and sports.
Mm.
So in 2018, I decided to study my master in international sports law.
Right. And you done two masters. First, you already graduated from the UIC Barcelona, and then you done two different master's degree from ISDE, and one in the immigration law, and second is the international sports law. How does the master degree add value into your legal career? Because most of the master degree are focused on the deep research process. So how that master degree really help you out, add the value and differentiate you into the sports legal industry? Because a lot of the people, a lot of the students, they strictly go into the do the masters from the very recognized university, but however there are the certain skills which are required by any firm or by the any organization. So how that sports law degree really help you out?
Yeah, so in fact, it was in my case really helpful in the first stage of my career as a business immigration lawyer, because in this regard, you are able to defend all the items of the immigration. Because, for example, in immigration, you have to provide a golden visa for a rich family for some specific country who wants to be settled in Spain.
Right.
So you have to take care about the school of the children, the real estate, for example, the transfer of the corporate director to some headquarters to another company. So can be a kind of visa. However, also you have to be able, if you are 100% focused in immigration law, as it was my case, to provide political asylum,
Right.
international protection.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have a deep expertise in international law, humanitarian law.
Right.
Criminal law sometimes, if you have to provide some extradition.
Right.
So you have to, you need a deep background about the international law. So the master was very specific and really helped me to work in a different countries, because in my case, it was not a specific, no, Africa, or no, just United States. Of course, then
Mm.
I was more close to some specific countries, but I have been working for many countries. Yes.
Right, right. We will go in that. But before that, right now you are working in the Italy, and you are from Spain. And how the cultural transition happened for you? Because you have to shift from the another country. You have to be start from the scratch, and you have to start with the work also. So how that challenge for you, especially when you're doing into the cultural transition into the another country?
Yes, in fact, it has been very nice because the culture between Italy and Spain is very similar.
Right.
And in my case, the city is the beautiful city Città Eterna of Rome. And I'm originally from Ireland, Mallorca, in Spain. So the weather is very similar, the people, the behavior.
Right.
So it's very similar. And I went to a study abroad when I was 17 years old. So I have been
Mm.
living in different cities such as New York, Barcelona, Madrid. So now being in Rome is an amazing experience, and the impact is not so big.
Mm.
Just the language, that is true, that is a little different. I'm not speaking 100% yet, but it's easy to understand. And the culture is very similar, yes.
Yeah, and
And
in
especially in
Mhm.
our field about motorsports, um, we can say that if you want to get involved in football, you must be in Madrid.
Right.
Let's say in Spain, not just, but if you are in Madrid,
Mm.
maybe because I love Madrid. But if we want to manage in motorsports,
Mm.
Italy is a good place because of the racing brands and the passion that Italian have in their hearts about racing. Yes.
Absolutely. And because of that, we can see that culture of the racing, what Ferrari had started way back in 1950, and now the legacy that has been given to the especially in the Formula One, also in the Le Mans, which we saw in the Ford versus Ferrari in that movie, and we see how the races have been evolved from that
Yes.
time. And right now we can see the Italy become the epicenter for the not only for the motorsports as well as the supercars which are developed into that country. There are so many brands right now. We can see the international brands right now, and most of the uh, especially in India, there are so many car manufacturing company. They also had a collaboration with the Italian brands so that they can develop that specific car which can be dominated into the European market. And because of that, only Italy become the epicenter for the motorsports industry. So
Absolutely agree.
right. So yeah, you did work into the different regions as a legal advisor, especially in Nigeria and Morocco, and further you also represented athletes from the Africa region as well as from the South American region. What are the challenges that you face while working with such different sets of clients, which are from the very different region? Because there are so many challenges that come up because the demands of the clients are something which we have to fulfill it no matter what we having the deadline that they set for that. So yeah, your views on that?
Yes. One of the main reasons that I feel passionate by international affairs as well as sports law is because of the wide range of cultures that you have.
Mm.
So, so you learn as a human being how to treat the different people.
Mm.
And maybe now it's easier because we have Instagram, Zoom, blah. But before, for example, when I was studying in New York and you were in the master in international affairs, so maybe your teammates were from Russia, Costa Rica, France, Italy, Brazil. Japan. So at this time, I'm talking about maybe 12 years ago or 14 years ago, uh, you get notice how the culture and the particular behavior of every country makes sense.
Right.
So if you wanted to be a good negotiating, a good diplomat, so you have to take this in mind, this requirement. For example, if it's from Brazil, you can go dance, but if it's from Japan, you have to take care, the process is longer. At
Right.
the end, everyone in Italia, right? Cittadino del mondo. At the end, we are all friends, but at the beginning is very important how you treat the people to engage them
Right.
and to establish this relationship.
Absolutely.
So having said that, why I have been working with these different fields. So maybe because I feel comfortable and I was able to understand this culture. For example, so in Africa, with the embassies from Morocco and Nigeria, I was working as a legal advisor. So
Right.
as a legal advisor, I was entitled to provide business congress, attend to receptions. So both are countries that the football is identity for them,
Agree.
right? So
Right.
the Nigerian children or the Morocco, maybe they are not able to attend the school. Maybe they don't know how old are they, but they know that with a ball they can play football with their
Right.
neighbors, and is a tool, is a social tool to inclusion them.
Right.
So at the end, if we analyze this situation, same happens with South America, right?
Right.
Without entering in political questions, but we perceive that the football in Brazil, in Colombia, in Peru, years ago was the tool as well to include these children, and was some that if you yes was some reason to go out to the country, or when they won, for example, we saw right with Argentina
Right.
when they became with the champion. So is a big present for them, not
Right.
just in terms of sports, is to increase
Mm.
the country,
Right.
yes, to promote them as an identity.
Absolutely. And because this sport is something which is very inclusive in nature, it brings a lot of people
Yeah.
comes together. And because of that, because I'm from India and we have so many different culture from different states, and sports is one of the major factor that joining each other. And because of that, we celebrate whether the Indian women hockey team play really well in the Olympics. And right now, the hockey World Cup, men's World Cup is right now happening in India. And because right, what happening, the most of the attendance, if we compare with the cricket, because cricket is one of the major sports in India, and what
Yeah.
happening in India right now, the people are really interested in the hockey because the recent performance given by the men's team in the Tokyo Olympics, because of that a lot of the people are being involved in that game, and it is very pleasure that India was one of the major force way back in the 20th century, and now they are also reviving their culture of the hockey, not only in hockey as well as other sports like what Neeraj Chopra has done in the Tokyo Olympics. He was the first male athlete in the track and field event who won the gold medal, and because that the legacy that will when he will leave in from the professional sport, a huge bunch of pool will come into the especially in the track and field, and we see that how many of the athletes like Abhinav Bindra from India, who was he was also the first male shooter who won the gold medal for India in 2008 in the Beijing Olympics, and that that achievement gave the lot of pool of talent right now into the shooting events, especially because now India is performing really well into the Asian Games, whether it's a Commonwealth Games, World Championship, now in Olympic Games also. So let's see what will happen, because sport is something
Mhm.
which always connect to us, whether you are watching hockey whether you're watching cricket, whether you're watching football, and football is one of the major, it's a global sport. And because of that, we all get connected to each other. And what happened with the Netflix, that they released the documentary Drive to Survive. And because of that, a lot of the people now are interested into the Formula One and the motorsport. And because that, we can see a lot of a new wave of motorsports happening in all around the globe. We'll come on that. So before that, as you know, the world is fully open right now, except from China. So how much traveling and time management required to you have to work on that, because you see you are working in the different time zone with a different set of client, and you have to manage your work accordingly. So how is the approach for that?
Yes, at the beginning it was a little bit difficult.
Right.
This is the truth, because yes, because you are familiar with your schedule. So my first destination was in terms of motorsport, especially Dubai, Abu Dhabi.
Right.
Yes, it's true that maybe the difference is just 2 hours. But yes, maybe in the morning we say, no, just 2 hours. But it's true that maybe in the evening or night, you have to change your plans because no, maybe in the dinner or yes, at the beginning it was a little bit difficult, but then you get familiar.
Right.
So after traveling to Dubai, Abu Dhabi, it was Qatar.
Right.
But when I felt the real impact, it was when I was involved in a big sports event. So we were working with people from Argentina, Colombia,
Right.
Brazil. So here is when you get noticed that, yes, I'm a sports lawyer. So if I want to continue, you go to bed, suddenly you wake up. So yes, and arrive a moment that you cannot make a difference between day and night. But at the end, the satisfaction is so big that then you understand how to manage this. Okay,
Right.
so if I will have more Zoom calls or more meetings in this timetable, so in this hour, I'm going to take a profit to take the rest. So yes, at the end, you manage yourself according, with the purpose to find your balance. Yes.
Absolutely. And because what happened when you have different sets of client, their demand is something very different. And because that, we have to work accordingly. And the one thing which I always set what my plan is accordingly, because I also have to work for the paralegal job with this NGO in UK, and I'm living in India, and I have to manage accordingly at what time. And because of that, my sleeping time is way bad right now compared to the normal human being who are working. Because what I do, I sleep around 1:30 or 2:30 p.m. 2:30 a.m. in the morning. So I have to according. So because that I have to, because UK timing is so much way behind if you compare to the Indian Standard Time, and because of that I have to work out accordingly. But work demand is something that we have to fulfill it for our client, and because of that, especially if we also working into the sports industry, they are, because you already know that how working in a different time zone can becomes very challenging for people like us. So
Yes.
so yeah. And yeah, because we see right now that especially you are from the motorsports industry, you are representing the clients, and we see especially in the Formula One, which is a very exclusive in terms of the racing teams which are right now, and there are only 10 Formula One racing team. So why there is such exclusiveness, especially in the Formula One? Because we see that there are so many good drivers right now in F3 and F2 racing teams, which are performing really well. And recently, we see the former F2 driver, Jehan, who was with the Red Bull Junior team, and right now he is being signed by the as a reserve driver with Mahindra Racing esport team. Mahindra Racing team, who is right now in the Formula E sector. So yeah, why this exclusiveness is in the, especially in the Formula One?
Yes, is a very good question. Maybe because this exclusivity is a consequence of this glamorous atmosphere. But go straight to the answer. I think that the most clear answer is because of the high budgets that the drivers have to face to enter in
Right.
the high budgets, because we have to bear in mind that first you have to find a seat. Once you have a seat because you are a really talent as a driver, you have to be able to reach this amount. Once you have this amount, this is not the amount of the seat. Also, you need the amount to provide your testing. Then you have to take care about the timing, the momentum, because the seat will not be there always waiting for you. Then the season, I mean, here is very important. Why is so exclusive? First, because the budget is so expensive, and then the timing, that you have to manage the timing. That is very different from football. So then is a circle very, very close, because then our question could be, okay, but if the budget is so expensive, we can contact with the sponsors, because this is the reason about the sponsorship agreements, of course. But then attract to big names such as Aramco, Red Bull.
Right.
Let's say that the Sparco is more flexible with the new talents and the new drivers. But if you need a big amount and you have to reach a big name, a big racing brand, is difficult to arrive to them, because of course, and it makes sense, they want to promote the Formula One drivers. So for the drivers that they are in Formula 3, Formula 2, this step is the most difficult. Why? Because the driver perceives that he is good.
Right.
The driver has the enough knowledge, excuse me, that he is ready to arrive to these points, to make the scores, that the car is good, that he is able to manage the engineer team. And then if you don't have enough resources in terms of contacts,
Right.
and in terms of financial agreements, when the driver perceives that, but I just need this amount, and for this amount I cannot be there. Here we insert a new element, that is the resilience, and is the mental health, and is the follow your dream, even you have to wait another season.
Right.
And then the age, right? So let's say that is the expensive budget, the timing, the age of the driver, because if we remind Ayrton Senna, Alain Prost, the age of the Formula drivers was totally different
Right.
from now.
Absolutely agree.
Yes, because now the age is 19, 20, because if your driver is in Formula 3, Formula 2, and he's 22, 21, he is old. So it's something scaring, right? Because he's very young, but the time that you need to reach this budget, so yes, and the fourth element is the age of the driver. So it's a complex framework, that we have to manage and coordinate very fast between the team, the driver, and the big companies that act as sponsors.
Right, because we see so many drivers who are already in lineup. 20 drivers, and other than the reserve drivers who used to test the cars, we see that Daniel Ricciardo right now being a test driver for the Red Bull Racing team, I think, if I remember clearly. But we see, because right now we see so many young drivers are coming on board in the Formula One. We see Charles Leclerc, who is driving for Ferrari
Yes.
right now, and same way there's one from McLaren. I cannot recall his name, but he's also a really good driver, and we see a new wave of drivers who are performing really well. And between that, Lewis Hamilton is someone with his age and performing really well at the top of the level right now, and he's already been level with the Michael Schumacher record, and we see how we'll do it with his age, with the skills that he present, because we already know that motorsports racing, it required a very huge investment, even if you are performing at the amateur level. And we see Lewis Hamilton from 1998 to 2000, he invested around, I think, 100,000 pounds at that time. And if we reevaluate it, it will be much more right now, more than 600,000 pounds right now. So because of that, exclusiveness in the Formula One is something we see, that the limited number of people, and you already mentioned that the number of elements which are being one of the major factors which revolve around the Formula One racing. So yeah. So moving
Yes.
on, there's a very interesting question, because you see two important races in India, MotoGP and Formula E. And from 2011 to 2013, Formula One races happen. And but because of the taxation policies, because motorsports and Formula One comes under the bracket of the entertainment sector, and because of that, the teams have to pay the taxes. So because uh, it's been a whole decade, and will the Formula E and MotoGP can revive the culture of the motorsports in India? Because if we have the Formula One if it had continued from 2013, we can see a new pool of talents, a new pool of drivers who can be a part not only in the Formula One, MotoGP, Formula E. Formula is something which is, I think, this is the ninth season, and in the shortest span of time, we see what Formula V has done and how they approach something which is really global, because they are focusing on something very different approach, and their study is quite different from the Formula One. So your views on that, how the motorsport culture in India can be revived with the help of these races?
Yes, first of all, congratulations, because this is an amazing news. And I think that this is will be a gold era for India. And as a Spanish citizen, I'm very proud that the CEO from Dorna Sports has visited your country, and they have signed a memorandum of understanding during 7 years,
Right.
especially in terms of MotoGP. So I think that will be very attractive,
Right.
because we cannot forget the concept of innovation. So
Mhm.
now, for example, we have seen that Qatar, it has been famous besides of the World Cup, but last year it was the first year that they hold the Formula One event.
Mhm.
Last year was the first one. It's true that in MotoGP they are very famous. In fact, for example, um, Jorge Lorenzo and all these riders went there. But I think that India will be a very beautiful scenario to receive Formula E and MotoGP.
Mhm.
So yes, and the most important step is done, right? Because Dorne Sports is very powerful
Right.
in terms of commercial right holders. So if they feel interested and attracted in your country,
Mhm.
in 7 years, that is a very good result. I think that it will be amazing, and I will do all my best to be there in the
Absolutely.
MotoGP circuit.
Yeah, we're glad to host you right here, because it's in within my state. So because for Formula V, I won't be able to travel because of this of the prior commitment I have done. But for the MotoGP, I will be there. I'm promising that I will be someone managed to come in to watch the first MotoGP race in India, because both international circuits have a very great legacy for the Formula One. And Sebastian Vettel already told that the both international circuit was his favorite circuit because of the how it was designed in accordingly for the Indian condition. So yeah, let's see what will happen because it's a very huge moment for us, and we see that because Mahindra Racing already been a part with the first season of the Formula E, and the innovation which has been done into that races, and with that we can see that a lot of innovations are coming on board with their domestic car which they are manufacturing in India. And because of these races, the innovation which will be done with such cars with their Gen 3, because recently we see they already finished with in the position 3 in the last race. So yeah, they done pretty well from the how they evolving their work. Right now they are also evolving their work in India, especially when they are manufacturing their cars, especially for the Indian condition. So because of that, Motorsports do a really great job in terms of the innovation, because they invent so many different kind of technology according to the conditions. So yeah, so we see right now that there's a in Formula One racing team, there has been a certain breach of the threshold in regards to the budget capping while developing their racing car, which ultimately can give the upper hand in terms with the other competitive cars. And we have seen in the last few seasons at what happened with the teams that are getting their parts from the another manufacturers. So recently we see that Red Bull, they break that threshold for the budget capping while developing their car, and they already recently FIA, they already reduced the budget capping. I think right now it's a 135 million. And what will this such incident can happen in future, because the way that F1 teams are exploiting such kind of rules and regulation in terms of the budget capping, which is because budget capping done in terms of to give the equal opportunity to all the Formula One racing teams. So yeah, your views on that?
Yes, 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 yes. I agree with your affirmation. This is a equal condition, right, for all the drivers. Because when you are inside of this when you are inside of this atmosphere, because you know that I'm representing a Formula 4 racing driver, of course you perceive the different teams, and every team has their own engineers, and every engineers the particular motor. So of course it's true, I don't know how can I say this, but of course it's true that they are different cars, let's
Yeah,
say, in this diplomatic way.
yeah.
And this is an evidence.
Mm.
In this category, it's more difficult to prove because, of
Mm.
course, we cannot compare Formula 4, Formula 3 with Formula 1.
Mm.
We cannot compare, but you can perceive something,
Right,
no? So yes, I think that this is very important, that the FIA has to establish this common condition, because otherwise there is no pacta sunt servanda. Otherwise there is no equal rights for the drivers.
right.
So yes, I think that this is the answer.
Yeah, and because of this, now the other racing teams like Mercedes, which who have a really great budget, they can do such kind of things. And because of that, we have to see that how we have to evolve the rules and regulation, because ultimately it's for the drivers that who are being associated with such kind of a sport. So let's see what will happen if this season at whether such kind of incident may happen or not. So yeah, we have to look into the
Yes. Yes, because for example, here we can remind the concept of fair play that I
right.
was forget. Fair play, let's esportiva. Because if we as a sports lawyers and the sports institutions don't try at least to insert some equal conditions such as fair play, the market will become very dirty, no?
Right.
So if we have to challenge the exclusivity, the glamorous atmosphere, how difficult is for a young driver believe in himself to follow his dream. So if the concerning institutions, in this case FIA, don't take the right measures to try to find these equal conditions, is very difficult. So I'm absolutely agree with this.
Yeah. So let's move on to the last question. So what is the future plan? Because right now you are working as a corporate lawyer for the FIM Latin America. Congratulations for holding a new role.
Thank you so much.
So how is the new role for this organization, and also working with the drivers on the different motorsports events who are being associated with you for a longer relationship? So yeah, you future plans for it.
Yeah, so I'm very happy because it's a role that clearly define which has been my career, because you know that as a corporate lawyer there is a mix between legal and business.
Right.
So this means that I have done between international affairs and sports law. Now I can execute with this appointment received from the FIM Latin America, that of course is my pleasure to have this honor to represent the 20 countries. So yes, basically is try to draft cooperation agreements with different countries, draft the agreements with the riders, negotiate with other federations. In this case, so for example, now as a Spanish and representing the FIM Latin America, I'm entitled to negotiate with both. So this is a very beautiful role because it's not litigation. Of course, if arrive the case, I have to go to task, but besides of litigation is be able to manage and coordinate my institution with other institutions, with other countries. So negotiating, drafting contracts, representing the riders, which are the right brands according to the championship, because it's not this, because is the thing that we explained at the beginning,
Right.
how to face these different embassies, so how to face this different championship, because it's not the same process, a championship in Argentina that a championship in Qatar or in Dubai. So according to the environment, according to the culture, you will get in touch with a particular brands
Right.
close to the country.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, because the new roles which are coming on board, and you are handling such kind of position and working with the different clients who are from very different region, and we already talk about it, the challenges that you face, and you are still managing somehow that how have to work in such kind of close deadline. And because of that, we see that you are fulfilling your career as a motorsports lawyer, because you are already into the sports legal industry, but you are a motorsports lawyer right now. So yeah,
Yes.
thank you so much for being our guest for
My
this
pleasure.
episode. And before leaving for this episode, any last remark did you have to add before we end this session?
Yes, I want to encourage all the people who is fascinated with this motorsport industry, because I know that now, thank you to Netflix, series and everything, is maybe now it's easier to get involved, but 5 or 6 years ago, it was, I don't want to say impossible, but difficult, because most of the sports lawyer, most of the Congress was focused in football.
Right.
So didn't have any any facility
Hmm.
to get in touch, to get inside the circle. You couldn't attend any conference, any congress, and anything.
Hmm.
So sometimes you feel alone. How can I arrive? Yes, how can I contact to this team?
Hmm.
But now, thank you to these people, thank you to these dreamers and believers. Everything is every time is getting more possible to arrive to this industry. So my last sentence is: go ahead. Sports is not just football. Football is very beautiful, but there is many sports, many types of sports, and if yours is motorsports, go ahead.
Yeah, because I did my interview, because now I can declare, because I gave my because I already applied for the Mercedes AMG Formula One motorsport team, and that's a very different kind of process if you are going for the motorsports industry, because I work with a different client, different sets of client, from esports, football, cricket, and with a zero knowledge, I still, because what I done, I watched that for that Netflix documentary that really helped me out to get the initial knowledge how the motorsport industry work. And because of that, I done the connection with people. I connected with the people like you, people like Akash Sharma, who is right now working. He's one of the few people from India who is working with in the European market as a motorsports lawyer, and he's, I think, working with the Alpine racing team as a legal counsel. He's working there. So yeah, because people like, such people like you, like Akash, they are working in this industry, and it give a certain boost for the people like us who are making their mark into the sports legal industry. So yeah, it's a very fulfilling thing, that, and it's a give you a very huge boost for us to, you can actually be into these into the motorsports, either you are working as an independent or being associated with the any motorsports racing team. So yeah, so that's it. So thank you so much, Magdalena, for coming on
My
board for
pleasure.
this session. Thank you everyone for listening to the end of this episode. If you really like our episode, make sure that you like and subscribe our channel. Also, you can find me and Sports Lawyer on social media platform. I'll put the link down below of our link tree link, so that you can go and check us out. And if you want to know what are things that I'm doing, so just follow me on the Instagram. So it's a TK Sports Lawyer. So just find me on, as well as on Twitter and Instagram. So yeah, we will meet you in our next episode. Until then, goodbye everyone.